Welcome, everybody, to Tino's Time. Welcome back. It's been a minute. The last time you guys talked to me on Tino's Time was when we previewed the MLB regular season. Well, it's 2 months into the season, and I know last time I talked to you, I said I wasn't going to be back until July. But you know what? 2 months have went on, and I just have so much baseball knowledge I have that I want to give you guys. And I just, there's just so much amazing things going on in the baseball world, and I didn't want to wait till July. So now, every single month, your boy Tino, with a special guest that will be joining me in a little bit, we will be doing a monthly update of the MLB season. But because I didn't do one in April, we're going to do April and May in this one. So let's not waste any time and let's get started. And I want to talk about the injuries. There's been so many injuries in the MLB this season. It is ridiculous. And I'm not going to go through every team, but I'm going to give you some guys from almost I probably will go through every team. Let's be real here. I'll go through every team and I'll give you a couple players and we'll talk about what's going to happen and if it could help each team. So let's start off first with the Diamondbacks. And the Diamondbacks right now, they're at the bottom of the barrel in the NL and it's just not doing really good for them right now. But you know what? They're losing Zach Weaver, Tyler Clippard. He's always been a decent reliever. Cole Calhoun, he was always really good in the Anaheim Angels. There's also the Braves. The Braves are another team. They're 24 and 26 right now, and they're just not doing really good. But they're also, if you haven't heard, Marcell Ozuna he got arrested and he's getting a bunch of charges. If that is true and that comes out, the Braves are going to lose a really good left fielder, and that's not good. And the Orioles. Let's talk about the Orioles for a minute. They're not, we talked about them. I didn't expect too much from them, but they just got done getting swept by the Chicago White Sox, and they have lost now 13 in a row, and it is ridiculous that the Orioles just can't get going. And they have really good guys like Trey Mancini, Cedric Mullins. He's really good. We talked about him in my pre-show before, and I told you he's a guy to keep an eye on. But they're just a team that they don't have very many injuries, but they're just not doing very good. The Red Sox, they, Chris Sale, my bad, I was losing it for a minute. I was trying to think, how could I forget about Chris Sale? Chris Sale, he is due back in early July, so that is good. But the Red Sox were a team I wasn't expecting to be that good, and right now they are 32 and 20, and they're gonna do really good. And I thought they were gonna be in last place. We'll talk about them more when we get into teams and guys doing really good. But right now, I just want to say, that they've come back from really high injuries. Now for the Cubs have lost David Bowie. He separated his shoulder. They have also lost other guys throughout the year. Alec Mills, Jason Hayward. And it's only 2 months into the season. That's not really good. Speaking of the north side with Chicago, now let's talk about my south siders for a minute on injuries. They lost Luis Robert. They on a hip flexor. He is going to be out probably until early September. Eloy Jimenez in March went out with a pectoral muscle. We miss you. Hi, Mom. The Sox have come back, and they've been able to do it with some really good rookies, and we'll get into that too a little bit later. But there's just been so many crazy injuries that the Indians lost Justin Lupol this week. Zach Plesac is gone. Francisco Mill Reyes. I don't know if I said that right. Hopefully I did. He is going to be out for a while, and that's a big loss for the Indians. Trevor Story for the Rockies. The Rockies aren't doing, the best, but they're still a team that you need to watch. Now, the Tigers, they just got done sweeping the Yankees. And nobody expected that. And, they're not missing too many guys, but they did lose. They're one of their best pitchers, Jose Uria. He was on Miami, the Marlins, if you don't know exactly who he was. He is lost now. The Astros, they have lost Gurriel. They have lost I think that's how you say it, Alvarez. They're not, Alvarez. Yoander Alvarez, let's just say that. McCollins is out. Justin Verlander has been out since last November, if you didn't know. There's just been so many injuries. I'm just going through every team. The Royals, Soler is out right now, and Soler is a really good guy. He's only out for a groin injury. Hopefully he does come back. Hopefully it's not too serious, but groin injuries can be lingering. Jose Iglesias, the Mike Trout, one of the best players in the game, is out. He has a calf injury, and he is probably going to be out for at least 6 to 8 weeks. It's been a couple weeks now, so hopefully he's starting to feel a little bit better. Dexter Fowler. Now for the Dodgers. The Dodgers, they're a team that we thought were going to run away with the division, but there's a sleeper team that we'll talk about a little bit later on. They're missing Justin Turner. Okay, he's just got rest. He's okay. Mookie Betts, he's out with an illness right now. And, they got so much depth that the Dodgers, the Padres, and a sleeper team we'll be talking about in a little bit. That's going to be a 3-team race, and I just cannot wait to see it. The Miami Marlins are a team, they're kind of sneaking up and they're doing their thing, and I'm all about it. The Braves, they don't have too many injuries. Now for the Twins are using Kenta Maeda. He is out indefinitely with an arm injury. Matt Kepler is out indefinitely with a hamstring injury. They are just losing a lot of guys. And the Twins, we will talk about in disappointments because they're not doing very well. Byron Buxton, and this is a lot of reasons why, is all these injuries. These just injuries are not good at all. And, I'm spending a little bit of too much time on these injuries, but there's just so many of them. Pete Alonso, he has a hand injury. Kevin Pillar got hit in the nose and broke his nose. Adam Hicks for the Yankees is out. Luke Vogt just went on the disabled list. It is just ridiculous. I could go on and on and on about these injuries, but I've already I've told you a lot. There's just so many guys I could go on and talk about, but I don't really want to talk about injuries this whole time. So now I want to bring in my special guest. It is my cousin, Rocco. Welcome, Rocco, to Tino's Time. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fun.
I see that you got that new South Side City Chicago shirt on. How is it? I heard that you went to the Sox game on Friday.
Yeah, but it got rained out, sadly.
Were you able to get that Tim Anderson bat flip bobblehead though?
Yeah, you don't have it.
That's good. Yes, I know. Thanks, Rocco, for reminding me that I don't have it. Thanks a lot. But now let's not talk about your Tim Anderson bobblehead. Let's talk about some teams and guys that are doing really good. And let's start off with the team that is very surprising. It's the Giants. The Giants are 32-20 right now. This is a team that I did not expect to be this good. And they're in second place right now in front of the Dodgers. And they're only a game and a half behind the San Diego Padres. Like, what did you expect this at all from the Padres or from the Giants, Rocco?
No, I thought they were gonna be like fourth place or
That's
third
what I
place.
thought too. I thought that they were going to be right down there with the Diamondbacks and the Rockies, but Brandon Crawford and Brandon Belt have 19 home runs combined, and Evan Longoria is coming back, and he looks like the Evan Longoria that was in the Tampa Bay Rays back in the day.
Also,
Do you remember Evan Longoria when he was on the Rays, or are you too young for that?
I remember him. He was really good. Also,
Yeah.
Kevin pitcher,
Also, who?
Kevin Gooseman, I think, someone like that.
Oh, what's his numbers? Why don't you tell the people his numbers? Let's see what types of stats you got.
I don't know his numbers. I just know he's really.
Oh, that's why your boy Tino's the podcaster. Also, what about the Red Sox? They're also 32-20. They're another team that, I thought that they were going to be at the bottom of the barrel, but I mean, they're doing actually pretty good. Did you think they were going to do this good?
No.
No.
Place.
What place did you think they were going to be in?
Fifth or fourth.
Fifth or fourth place. What about the Cubs? We got, I know it's the Cubs, and we don't like the Cubs. We can't be biased here. The Cubs are actually doing pretty good, and their bullpen has been lights out in May. Their bullpen.
I had them at third or fourth, but
so did I. But their bullpen in May has been lights out. And did you see that play that Javier Baez made? How does that even happen? Like I don't even know how that happens. And seriously,
Pirates are just terrible.
Oh, they're awful. You should have seen the people on Twitter. They were like, "Get this manager, get everybody out." They wanted to tear apart Pittsburgh. It was bad. But now let's take a minute, and you want to gloat for a minute about the Chicago White Sox being in first place at 31. or yeah, 32-20. Now I'm sorry, they won today after sweeping the Baltimore Orioles. And after they lost Eloy to a pectoral muscle, and then they lost Luis Robert to a hip flexor, I really didn't know what was going to happen. But we have guys like Yermin Mercedes, Billy Hamilton. Billy Hamilton is Billy hitting machine, and he looks like the Billy that was on Cincinnati. I mean, this is just crazy. Andrew Vaughn. I mean, what do you think like about all these guys? Because this is going to be your team. This is your team in like 10 years. And by the time you're like my age, Andrew Vaughn could be the next Paul Konerko. Like, what do you think? And how do you feel about everything going on the South Side?
First off, Billy Hamilton. I know he's doing really good right now, but he's no future of the White Sox.
Well, no, obviously, but he's definitely stepped in and he's definitely helped with Luis being out, and he can definitely cover center field really good.
Andrew Vaughn, I think, was a really good thing that they got.
I did not expect that. But speaking of something that we weren't expecting, what about Yermin Mercedes? Where did this man come from? Yermin Mercedes, he has been through hell. I don't know if you've seen, but he's been through so much, and he was in A ball, he was in AA, AAA.
He's also independent league.
Yeah, the independent league too. He's been in so many leagues, and they did say that he would have never got this opportunity if Eloy got hurt. And I'm not happy that Eloy got hurt, but they do say everything happens for a reason. And maybe there was a reason why Eloy got hurt or why everything happens. And Yerman's getting his opportunity, and he's definitely showing why he could be here and be on the South Side for a while. But we can't gloat too much. We can keep going on about the White Sox pitching staff is number one in baseball right now. Carlos Rodon looks like he's the Cy Young of the year so far. He pitched a no-hitter on April 14th. We could go on and on. We could go on and on about the White Sox, but we can't be too biased. So let's move on and let's talk about a team that, there's a team like the Seattle Mariners. I almost said the Seattle Seahawks. I was thinking about your favorite football team. I don't even know what was going on, but they're doing decent. They're 26-27, one game under, and they're still afloat. They're 4.5 out of first place, and I don't see them being able to stay afloat for too long. But, them competing in that division is hard anyway with the Athletics and with the Astros. I mean, let's be real here. I mean, what do you think? Do you think Seattle has any type of shot, or you think it's Astros and Athletics all the way?
If they go on a big win streak, then maybe, but
I mean, true. I mean, what about the St. Louis Cardinals? How are the St. Louis Cardinals not 4 to 5.5 games up after they have Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt 3-4? The Sox just recently played them, and I went to one of the games. I was like, how in the heck are they not so much farther? The Cardinals, they're 30-22. That's good. And like we talked about the Cubs are only a game out right now. But I mean, with the Cardinals, do you think it's going to be the Cubs and Cardinals, or what do you think about that division?
The Cardinals have been facing tough opponents for this past month, I would say. And the Cubs have been facing easy, like the Pirates, the Reds, all these teams they've been facing.
You're right. And before we start talking about all the bad going on in the baseball, the last division I wanted to talk about was the West, the NL West. The Padres, we talked about the Giants a little bit. And what about the Dodgers? The Dodgers, they're 31-21 right now. They're 2 games out of first right now with the Padres. But the Padres with Tatis and the way they're playing, do you think the Padres could run away with this? Do you think it's possible, or do you think it's going to be a 2-team race? I know I keep saying 2-team races, but I mean, that's what it is.
Has been on fire.
Who?
I'm talking Trevor Bauer.
Trevor Bauer.
He has been single-handedly carrying that team at its pitching. Same with Kershaw and Walker Buehler. But at the end of that road, everything about the Dodgers, I don't know how they weren't winning the beginning of the season, but all their pitching, all their hitting, stepped up, and they started getting anyone on a big win streak.
I mean, yeah, and it doesn't help they missed Cody Bellinger for a little bit. Mookie Betts is out with an illness. They're kind of having some type of injuries, and they're do it, but it's a long season. People have to remember this season is 162 games, and the season is not 60 like it was last year. I think that's a lot of the people seem to forget. I talked about it when I did injuries before you came on the show. I talked about it, how maybe it's the strength and conditioning coaches. I mean, I don't know what it is, but it does seem like there are many injuries, and that is a reason why some of these teams are struggling, or why some teams are good, or why, and it's like it's really bad. But let's talk about, before we continue and we get off track, let's talk about some disappointing teams. And the first disappointing team I want to talk about is the Twins. The Twins are 21-30 and they're in fourth place in the American League Central. And this is a team that everybody thought was going to be in first in the American League Central. I'm sorry. They lost today. So they're 21-31. My bad. My information is a day off. So they did lose today. So they are actually 10 games under now. And they are in last place in the division. The Tigers swept the Yankees. How? How did the Yankees get swept by the Detroit Tigers?
That's
like, come on. Like, I know we're getting off track with like the Twins and Tigers for a second, but like, how did the Tigers sweep how? Like, I know the Yankees have lost Luke Vogt. No, they've had a couple injuries. Not Gary Sanchez. Gleyber Torres didn't play like the way he did versus the Sox last week. Where was this Gleyber Torres last week? Sox might have had a chance. But back to the Twins. What is going on with the Twins? They lost Kenta Manaea. Miguel Sano he's been on fire, but he seems like he's so streaky. Byron Buxton has been out. The poor guy cannot stay healthy. What do you think about the Twins? Do you think they're too far down, or you think they can make this some type of a run, or what do you think about the Twins?
pitching staff.
Pitching staff? That's what I was thinking too. I mean, that's what it seems like. The best teams right now are the best teams with the pitching staff, and that's we'll talk about it in a minute. But when we talk about some moments, there's been some crazy moments only in 2 months into the season, and I mean, what about Josh Donaldson though? Did you hear about him scoring the 2 millionth run in MLB history? That's crazy. That's
He's been
nuts.
for a while.
Yeah, he has. What was the first team you remember him on?
I think it was the Blue Jays.
Was it? Did you know he was on the Athletics too?
No, I don't.
Yeah, he was on the Athletics in the beginning of his career. And then he went to the Blue Jays, and then he went to the Twins. And the Twins, they're a team like
on the Braves. And
then the Braves. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about the Braves. Thanks. This is why I need you, Rocco. This is why you need to join me every month now. I need because I forget a lot, But let's talk about a guy. This is a guy I mentioned in Faces the New Places when I did my pre-show, and it was Francisco Lindor. He was one of the big trade acquisitions of the offseason for the Mets, and he's batting 191 with 4 home runs and 11 RBIs. He's got 29 strikeouts and 22 walks. I mean, I know the Mets, they're in first place. They're up by 3.5 games right now over the Braves. They're 25-20, but if Francisco Lindor doesn't get going, do you think the Mets could keep this up?
You see, the thing I saw about the Mets is like their rookies have been getting a lot of game winners, and it's really weird. From what I see,
people are doing what?
There are a lot of their rookies, and no one's heard of have been getting a lot of walk-off RBIs.
Yeah.
They've been winning a lot of games from that. And another thing, Francisco Lindor, I don't know why they would ever give him $300 million.
I don't know why you would give anybody that type of deal, because just look like Albert Pujols. He got that big deal from the Angels, and now he's playing in the Dodgers, and now he's going to go try to be on the Dodgers and win a championship. Like, it's just these contracts, they should not be worth that much. And, earlier on in April, you remember when Tatis got hurt and everybody was freaking out? If that was a serious injury and he signed that contract, that would have been a big blow for the Padres. But, he was able to come back, and that's okay. Well, let's talk about Mike Trout went on the disabled list on May 17th. I almost said Mike twice, versus the Indians with the calf injury. And it looks like he's going to be out. At the time, it was 6 to 8 weeks. I think it's been a couple weeks now. So it's down to like 4 or 6 weeks. This is another team. Do you think that's been disappointing? But I thought with Anthony Rendon, I thought with Albert Pujols, they had what's the rookie? Is it Jared Walsh? That's the rookie's name, right? From
Yeah.
the first baseman. That was why they got rid of Pujols. Do you think that they can come back in that division, or like we talked about with the Mariners? You think they're just like, what do you think?
No, they
No,
don't have the pitching staff or the hitters to do it.
no. And the last thing I did want to talk about, we did mention it a little bit because it was the Yankees. They just got swept by the Detroit Tigers. I don't know what got into the Detroit Tigers this weekend, but they were feeling good and they ended up sweeping the Yankees. I think they outscored them like 15-5 or something like that. The pitchers for the Tigers just did phenomenal. And it just it's some crazy things going on in the baseball world right now. And let's talk about speaking of crazy, let's talk about some really crazy moments that have happened in the last 2 months and for the first 2 months of the season. We talked about it a little bit. Yerman Mercedes, he was rookie of the month in April and he did phenomenal things. He was crazy. He he came onto the scene. He was hitting 415 with a slugging percentage of 659 and an on base percentage of 1.113. And it was amazing. I don't know where he came from. And, we talked about it a little bit earlier with him, but I'm just happy that he's here and I'm happy that he's finally on the South side. But one of the big moments that has been going on in the baseball world are these no-hitters. There has been 6 no-hitters so far in 2 months. That is crazy. And I don't think there's ever been this many no-hitters. John Means pitched a no-hitter versus the Mariners. And ever since that day, I don't know if you knew this, Rocco, or if you heard it a couple days while the Sox were on what? What?
The John Means thing.
Let's hear it. What about the John Memes one?
There's been a popular clip on TikTok about his glove going like this on his glove for pine tar, but it's not 100% confirmed.
Oh, true. Look at you coming up with information, helping the people out. Did you see, speaking of pine tar, I know we're going to get off the subject, but that's okay. Speaking of pine tar, did you see at the Cardinals Sox game? I know we keep talking about the Sox and Cardinals, but Sox has just been all over the news. The guy on the Cardinals got thrown out because he had pine tar on his hat.
Yeah.
And then that's not a bad thing to think about. I mean, I don't know. I personally did not see it. I was out working and stuff. I did not see what happened in that game, but it was really cool to see the Orioles have that type of a moment. But did you know, Rocco, that the Orioles are 2-18 now after losing today to the White Sox since that no-hitter? That is horrible. I don't think I've ever seen anybody else go through that. But
Cedric Mullins has been a beast mode RBI.
Oh, Cedric Mullins, he is the best player on that team. The Sox just played them, like we said earlier. The Sox played them in a 4-game series, and he was the most impressive guy in that team. And honestly, he's the only guy that kind of scared me. Trey Mancini, of course, but he just came back in the lineup. And, Cedric Mullins is a guy that people need to watch out for. And there was a lot of rookies, like we talked about, Andrew Vaughn, Akal Baduda. Is that how you say his name is it the Twins, right? Or the Tigers? The Tigers. Yeah, I think that's how you say his name. There's a lot of rookies that have been doing good. And, Luis Robert was still considered a rookie. I think if he would have been here and not got that hip flexor injury, I think he'd have at least 6 or 7 home runs, at least.
Cedric Mullins is a possibility trade deadline player.
But see, I think the Orioles would want to build around him.
How old is Cedric Mullins?
He's young. Cedric Mullins is a rookie.
Oh, rookie?
Yeah, he's a rookie this year. That's what I'm saying. He's a candidate for rookie of the year.
See, he can go either way. They can either build around him or trade up for him for a bunch of stuff.
Well, yeah, but I definitely think that they have a couple decent pieces that they could build around. It just is getting it. They just need to get to the point where they were when they had guys like Adam Jones, they had Manny Machado. You won't remember this guy, but Brian Roberts, JJ Hardy, all these guys that were good on the Orioles. And at one point, the Orioles were a scary team. They were like, I was scared to face the Orioles, and me and my friend would go to games, and they were actually pretty good. But let's stop talking about the Orioles. We've talked about them too much.
about the
Well,
Orioles.
okay, one more thing about the Orioles, and then we got to move on. The people don't want to hear about the Orioles.
The mistake about Chris Davis paying him all that money.
Oh my God, Chris Davis, the poor guy. Where isn't he on the Rangers now?
No, he's not even on. I think he's in the free agency now. I think they cut
Oh,
him.
true. Oh, Chris Davis. Yeah. Okay, I thought you were talking about the outfielder, Chris Davis. He's on the Rangers. He was on the Athletics, but he was at one point on the Orioles too, I think. But let's start again. Let's stop talking about the Orioles and Chris Davis. Chris Davis, hopefully you get a job, my guy. But let's talk about Joe Musgrove versus the Rangers. He had a no-hitter. Wade Miley versus the Indians had a no-hitter. Madison Bumgarner, how do you feel about this one? Madison Bumgarner only had one error, but he didn't give up a hit in one of the double headers for a no-hitter. Do you think that should count as a no-hitter if a guy pitches a no-hitter in the seventh inning doubleheader?
Yes.
I personally think so too, because it's like it's a regular game. It's
He'll
not like,
counts on the rest of the game.
yeah. And I mean, it's not like their fault that they took out 2 innings. It's not, you know what I mean? Like they just, yeah. But Carlos Rodon had one versus the Indians. And did you know that there are 3 teams that have been no hit twice already this year? The Indians, the Rangers, and I think it's the Mariners are the last one. Yeah, the Mariners. Yeah, because John Means got it versus the Mariners. And then Spencer Turnbull, another guy from the Tigers. This guy came out of nowhere, and versus Seattle, he got a no-hitter. These no-hitters are honestly, in my opinion, crazy. Do you think that they should move the mound back?
I won't do that.
No, I've heard reports that they might. I've heard reports that they don't. I don't know, but I think that would be really interesting. And this is something like, it's not like a moment or anything, but do you remember 3 weeks into the season, the Royals were 16-9, and everybody was like, the Royals are going to win the division. The Royals are really good. And I'm not taking nothing away from the Royals. I think the Royals are going to be a really good team down the road. And I think in a couple of years, they're going to be really competitive. But then they lost 10 straight games and they went 16-19. And, they've kind of got somewhat back on track. They went 25 and 26 now. They're 6.5 out away from the White Sox. But it's just one of those things where it's just like in the beginning of the season, there's so many teams like Seattle, if you remember, at one point was in first place. The Royals were in first place. At one point, the Yankees were really bad. And it just seems like people don't give it time to go out the season and not forget, like I mentioned earlier, it's 162 games this year. It's not a 60. So it's like, it's going to, you know what I mean? It's going to take time and people got to relax. I sound like Aaron Rodgers up in this place right now. Relax.
I'm kind of off topic, but
let's hear it.
Tyler Glasnow and some other guy from the Rays accusing the Blue Jays for sign stealing.
And what year? I heard that. What year was that they said that?
Apparently this year and last year.
Oh, I didn't. I thought it was a couple years ago because I also heard a report that
I remember what year. I know Tyler Glasnow said that it was in last year for sure, but he doesn't. That's all it really is.
If that's the case, Rocco, there is no reason for any of that to happen. I don't know why people got to steal signs. Why can't we just play the game? It's ridiculous. I don't understand it. There's just so many things that have went on already. It's 2 months into the season. We still have June, July, August, September, and the playoffs. And it's just like there's already been so many crazy things. What about the Marcell Ozuna? I kind of mentioned it earlier. Did you see he got charged with domestic violence?
Yeah.
And if that stuff is true, that guy's career is going to be over. And it's so sad because he's such a good player on the Braves. And it just like, come on, man. Like, I just don't understand, and there's just so many things that it's so crazy. Everything going on in the baseball world right now. But before we go, I want to ask you, I told you to think about it while we were off camera. And before we started recording, let's get into some bold predictions for something that's going to go on in June. And then when we go back at the end of June, and we're going to see if it's true or not. So give me one of your bold predictions, Rocco.
Well, one thing I do think is the Blue Jays are going to go and not the Blue Jays. The Rays are going to go on and be a really good team this year.
Well, I know, but like for June, what's one bold prediction for just the
Oh,
month of June that's gonna happen?
I
Like you
say
think like anything, like a team, a guy, anything.
this is maybe I don't know if I want to say this, but I say the Giants or the Giants. One of the teams in the NL West are either going to have a big win streak or a big lose streak in June.
And then they're gonna follow, and because well, right now, like we talked about, that division is so tight. So what you're saying is you think that the Giants, Dodgers, or Padres are gonna go on a losing streak, and it's gonna come down to a two-team race, or do you think somebody's gonna run away with that division?
I say it's going to be a big race. I say one of the four, Arizona, I think is out. I say they have no chance. But the Rockies, I say they're going to start. They're gonna do something. They might not win the division, but they're gonna go for a fight.
I mean,
Ish.
hey, if we follow my poster backwards over here, Rocco, the Giants are in first, the Padres are in second, the Dodgers are in last, the Rockies are in fourth, and Diamondbacks are in fifth. If we turn it around, it's kind of the same. I love
But
that poster. I'm so happy I found it.
the
Huh?
Diamondbacks are just
Oh, the
depressing.
poor Diamondbacks. They were so good a few years ago, man, and I really thought that they were going to do something. But one of my bold predictions is that I think that a team, or not even a team, I think that one guy is going to hit the most home runs in a month. I'm not going to say who, because we could go on. We could say guys like Jose Abreu. We could say Pete Alonso. We could say Ronald Acuna Jr. We could say so many guys, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, but there is going to be one guy that is going to hit 10 or plus home runs in the month of June. What do you think? You think that could happen?
Yeah, I think.
Weather starts to get warmer, guys start to get muscles loose.
My opinion, if who's gonna hit that, it's gonna be Vlad.
Who? Vlad Guerrero. Yeah, Vlad Guerrero too. Oh my God. The Blue Jays put out, the Blue Jays did good this weekend. They were able to win 2 out of 3 versus the Indians. They weren't able to sweep them, but the Blue Jays almost had them, but the Indians came back in that doubleheader. But Vlad, the Blue Jays bats scare me. They got so many guys. And I don't know if you heard Jason Benetti yesterday. He was like, all the Blue Jays did was call Vlad and Biggio and all the guys that were on their team before and say, we're going to sign their sons. And hey, I mean, they're good, so why not? But they're just scary, man. I don't know why, but they've always been scary. And now that they're getting all these younger dudes, they're just even more scary. Like I'm worried about the Blue Jays. They're a team that I think could easily be in the American League Championship game this year at the end of the year.
The one thing though is a lot of their star players are young and never been in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, and that's like the thing where and that's where it could come into where like them getting into the playoffs and stuff like that. But that's just something to keep an eye on. So do you have any more bold predictions you want to give the people before we go?
Not really.
No, you got no more.
I said
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed me and Rocco. What's your Twitter handle and your Instagram? If people want to find you, you play video games, you play MLB, you're a goat at it, you're good at Madden. Where can people find you at?
Twitter I don't really care about. My Instagram it's really weird. It's glizzy, and then underscore X6 taps.
Well, you follow your boy Tino, so go follow at Tino Time 1996 on Twitter and on Instagram and all your social medias. Remember to smash that subscribe button and help your boy out. And until the beginning of July, when your boy Tino and Rocco come back to give you a June update and everything going on in the baseball world, this is your boy Tino and Rocco signing out.